Trading for Jordan Howard this offseason was a great move by the Eagles. Jordan Howard is a really good running back. But drafting Myles Sanders was an even better move by the Eagles because it's quite evident after a week of training camp. Myles Sanders is the most talented running back on the roster, and it won't be long before he's the starter. 18th pick in the NFL draft.
Hey, make us lunch. We're hungry.
Dallas still stinks. Yo, everybody, King Dingbat here, and I hope everybody's having a great Tuesday, a wonderful day. I'm doing wonderful. You got the Giants who always stink. You got Dallas dealing with the Zeke Elliott situation. You gotta love it. And then you got our Eagles. Their practice went live today. Full hitting, full contact, tackling to the ground. They were doing it today. No major injuries came out of it, so that's always a good thing. Now, I have to talk about this Dallas Cowboys situation real quick, and this is going to be more of a question to Dallas Cowboy fans because I'm curious your perspective on this whole thing with Zeke Elliott. Obviously, we all know now that you guys brought in Alfred Morris, you brought him back, and I'm just curious, what does that mean? What does that signify that the Dallas Cowboys went out and did that? Does it signify that the Cowboys are expecting a long holdout by Zeke Elliott? Because I just think it's kind of like, it's kind of weird that the Cowboys did that. I thought it was kind of weird, and the only things that I can think of is, one, Dallas is trying to scare Zeke Elliott to come back, which if you're bringing Alfred Morris, I don't think it's going to work. And then two, they're expecting a long holdout during camp. I'm not talking about the regular season, but I'm just talking about camp. And they need a body just basically for camp. I'm just curious, what is going on with the Cowboys and Zeke Elliott, and what do Cowboy fans think? Is Zeke Elliott right? Is he wrong? Let me know in the comment section, Cowboy fans, because I'm curious. If I was a Cowboy fan, I would want Zeke Elliott signed, sealed, and delivered. I would say, this is the guy who our offense goes through. He better be here. But it's just my thoughts, and I'm just curious to what you guys think. I'm not meaning it to bust your balls today. I do enough of that. Today, I just want to know your honest opinion. What's with this whole thing with Alfred Morris? Why would they bring him in? So as far as the greatest team in the history of mankind's concerned, they were back at practice, working hard, trying to get better. They had full contact to the ground today, and no major injuries came out of it, so that's a really good thing. Now, we're starting to see some patterns emerge for some of these guys, meaning that every day they're showing up. They're making a name for themselves. They are sticking out. And one of those guys is Sidney Jones. Sidney Jones gets better and better as camp goes on. Now, I know early in camp, I think maybe the first day or so, I know he did struggle a little bit with Deshaun Jackson and his speed, but he's gotten better every day. And today he had an interception on Carson Wentz, made a couple nice plays, and the kid is getting better every single day. I'm excited about this kid. And, the one thing I will say is with LeBlanc hurt, I think he's missing valuable time because Sidney Jones is going to lock that slot corner position up really, really quick. And what I like about Sidney Jones is when Avonte Maddox goes out, he's moving to the outside. So they're teaching these guys to play multiple spots, which is really, really important and valuable. But, a lot of people have said Rasul Douglas looks like he's been the most solid during training camp. And Sidney Jones, by all means, is right behind him. Another strong day, another great day for Sidney Jones. And I'm excited about him. Like I said, I view last year as his rookie year. So, hey, look, Sidney Jones shows us something this year that would be huge for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the other guy I want to talk about right now is Myles Sanders. Myles Sanders, and if you know me, if you were with me during the draft, during my stream, I flipped out when they took Myles Sanders. I wanted him or Darrell Henderson. I wanted one of those two backs. And we took Myles Sanders, and I got to tell you, after him missing spring, OTAs, minicamp, I really thought, man, this kid's going to fall way behind, and it's going to take him a while to get going, especially if he does not come into training camp healthy. Well, he's in training camp healthy, and over the course since training camp has started, you've heard nothing but great things about this kid. And it's not just like, oh, he had a good play here or a good play there. No, this is the most talented, best running back on his team, and the difference between him and everybody else is obvious. He is a step two more talented, faster than all the other guys out there. And look, Sproles is a fast guy and all that, but he's older. But Myles Sanders is very impressive. And I think once he gets down blocking and those kind of things, pass protection, I think you're going to see him start and be the featured back. Now, I initially said by week 9, week 10, I think Myles Sanders becomes the featured back. This could happen much earlier because he is making it hard for the Eagles to take him off the field. Okay, today they had one play. They were, like I said, they were live. He went out on a wheel route. Great pass. Carson threw it. Perfect pass. And I think Vinny Curry was covering him. Vinny Curry got caught covering him. The Eagles read it. Boom. Hit Myles Sanders. Now, this is one of the things that they say Jordan Howard does not do well. He does not catch out of the backfield. And one of the problems with Jordan Howard in Chicago, at least for the Bears, when you talk to Bears fans, my man Josh, out to Josh, he'll even tell you, one of the things with Jordan Howard was when he was in, teams and defenses kind of expected what was coming. They didn't worry about the running back in the passing game or anything like that. He made them very predictable in certain ways. Now, the Eagles are doing a lot to try to offset that. They're trying to get Jordan Howard more involved in the passing game. But from everything I'm hearing, Myles Sanders is making such an impact at camp that I think it's going to be hard to keep him down. I cannot wait to see this kid in training camp. I cannot wait. So he had a great play today in the receiving game. He also scored a touchdown running. And what people are saying is, he's quick, he's shifty, but the thing that you don't expect from Myles Sanders, the thing that has surprised a lot of people, is his power, his ability to push forward. And it was on display today. And yeah, everybody is impressed with this kid. And I think that, like I said, once he gets pass protection down, I think he's going to take over as the number one back. Now, look, this is not a slap in Jordan Howard's face or anything like that. I think Jordan Howard's a great running back. I think he's a really good running back. I think that he's going to do a lot of good things for the Eagles. Where I really like Jordan Howard is in fourth quarter when the Eagles have these leads. Like, think about the Carolina game. Think about the Tennessee game last year. Think about when we had these big leads in the fourth quarter and we couldn't run the ball. In 2017, when we had big leads, we ran the ball. That's when LeGarrette Blount would get going and he would just start eating up clock, picking up those yards, and we would kill these fourth quarters. The Charger game, I think it was was it week 3, week 4 against the Chargers 2017. We were in a pretty tight game. Fourth quarter, we needed to kill clock. That's what LeGarrette Blount did. And that's what I think Jordan Howard's role in this team will be, mainly by season's end especially, because from everything I'm hearing, this kid Myles Sanders is so impressive. And if he stays healthy, he's going to be fun to watch. But Jordan Howard, he's a great running back too, and I'm not knocking him at all. I just think that Myles Sanders is so much more talented that you can't keep that talent off of the field. But where I think Jordan Howard's going to be big is in those fourth quarters when we're trying to kill clock, when we're trying to, basically keep a lead, those kind of things we could not do last year. Now, one of the guys I talked about the other day who is really impressing coaches is Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat is hungry. He wants to get out there. He wants to play. And he's impressed the coaches with the way he's put on, with his speed, with his explosiveness. And I expect big things from Josh Sweat. There is a fight for that fourth defensive end spot. And it sounds like Josh Sweat's going to have some competition because Joe Osman has been playing really good this whole camp. And today he was dominant. I think he would have had 3 sacks if you had tackling of the quarterbacks. They blow the play dead before that, but he was in the backfield constantly. He was beating his man constantly, and he had a huge day. So if we get legitimate competition from Joe Osman, Josh Sweat for that fourth defensive end spot, I think that's the best thing that could happen to the Eagles. I'm not interested in bringing in a Connor Barwin or an older guy back. I want these young guys to emerge, and I said that before. And Joe Osman had a really, really good day, and he is one of the names that is nice to talk about because I hadn't talked about him before. And like I said, you're hearing a lot of the same guys every day having big days. Sidney Jones, Rasul Douglas, especially those young corners you hear it. Carson Wentz was good today. We'll get into him in a second. But Joe Osman, if he can give Josh Sweat a legitimate competition for that fourth defensive end spot, this will pay dividends for the Eagles going into the regular season. It definitely will. One guy who hasn't been super stellar during camp, he's had some good days, he's had some really bad days, is Nelson Aguilar. Well, today he had a great day. They were saying that the rapport between him and Carson Wentz was really apparent. He got to show off his athletic ability, his speed, and I think with Deshaun Jackson creating space in that middle and in that slot for Nelson Aguilar, I expect Nelson Aguilar to have a huge year. Now, one interesting play that everybody was raving about and talking about today was a play where Carson Wentz went back to pass. He goes back to pass. He fires it. It's deflected up by a defenseman. I'm not sure who it was, if it was Sidney Jones or not, but the ball's deflected in the air. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside catches it. Now, we haven't heard a lot from Arcega-Whiteside. I think part of the problem has been that him and Carson Wentz's chemistry have not been on point right now. They're still trying to work that out, and there's been some miscues and that kind of thing. But the ball gets deflected up on this play. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside catches it, and he runs like 80 yards. Now, people know he's big. They know he has good hands, but what surprised everybody was his speed. The speed he had to take it 80 yards, nobody could catch him. And like I said, he reminds me of Mike Evans. That's who I see when I see J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. I would say a slower Mike Evans, but maybe he ain't that slow. Maybe he's a lot quicker than I thought, and everybody thought. And he's going to be a good player for the Eagles. Now, like I said, the question is going to be how soon before him and Carson Wentz build a rapport, build chemistry, and that kind of thing. They got to get on the same page, is what I'm hearing. There are some passes where they've been overthrown, where he's dropped, where they're not in sync right now. What Wentz and Arcega-Whiteside have not been in sync, but the guys that Wentz is in sync with, Deshaun Jackson, today Nelson Aguilar, Markin Michel made some nice plays. Carson Wentz, Carson Wentz is going to give Mark Holmes a lot of nightmares tonight. A lot of nightmares. If Mark Holmes goes on the YouTube or goes on the internet, looks up what Carson Wentz has been doing the last few days, he's going to have nightmares. So I expect Mark Holmes to wake up one of these early mornings and do a Carson Wentz video, because I know he's freaking out that Carson Wentz is about to double moonwalk the Dallas Cowboys' ass. That's what's going to happen. But Carson had another good day. I think he started off with like 20 straight completions, maybe 21 straight completions early on. His deep ball has been pretty good today. It was pretty good. He connected quite a few passes down the field. Now, what all the defensive players have said about Carson Wentz, and I was listening to some of it today, is what you see with Carson is his mobility, his speed, his explosiveness is back, and the weight loss has helped him a lot. Carson Wentz continues to look like he's on the verge of a monster year, and that's a great thing for the Philadelphia Eagles. A lot of same names. Kruger Hill continues to impress. Jim Schwartz talked about how he could be a every down linebacker right now, and I'm really expecting big things from him as well. Avonte Maddox, Rasul Douglas, these guys are going to be good, man. I'm really excited about this young secondary, and even Andre Dillard is starting to turn heads. They're starting to see how talented, how good this guy really could be. And I think it was Lane Johnson said he's the best offensive lineman in the draft, bar none, and he showed it today. So we're going to keep watching him. Jason Peters is mentoring him, and it's just a great thing. That's what the Eagles players do. They're there, they want money, they come to camp like Malcolm Jenkins. Jason Peters knows he has his replacement on the field. With him, he's going to teach him everything he knows. And that's why the Eagles won a Super Bowl in 2017 with that kind of, brotherhood and love for your other teammates. That's one of the reasons why in 2017 the Eagles won it. It's a good start to this year. So that's pretty much what I saw today at training camp, day 5. What do you guys think? Tell me in the comment section. With that said, take care. Talk to you later. Don't be a dingbat.